All right, everyone, we start off talking, of course, about Biden's address to the nation the other night. I was originally planning to possibly live react to it, and I'm glad that I chose to just get some extra sleep because it was a whole lot about nothing. Biden had a series of mini-strokes. That much is totally clear to me. Based on after his spell, or whatever the hell you want to call it, his shuffling gait, his vacant appearance, etc., his slurred words in the pre-recorded address during the Harris rally. He clearly had a series of mini-strokes. That's why he looked reasonably, not competent or coherent, at least not totally sickly during this address. And it does appear that it was made live. People are looking at his watch during the speech. It does appear to read the right time for that speech. Of course, he probably doesn't tune his own watch at this point. Jill has to do that for him. The reason is because you tend to recover fairly quickly from a TIA. What they've done is they've given him warfarin and shit like that, and they don't really care because he's only going to last another couple of months. He probably can. I mean, Jimmy Carter might end up outliving him in the end, but that's because of Jimmy Carter's longevity. He's not imminently going to croak. He's just elderly and sickly. That's what happened. The address itself was a rambling mess. I don't know, sometimes I could barely understand what the hell he was talking about. Some people, one person messaged me saying that he thought that he had heard the word clitoris 5 or 6 times. He's still having speech pattern issues, but the thing is there's plausible deniability there now, isn't there? Joe Biden usually has issues with that. He has for a number of years. Hell, even before he had cognitive decline, he was still the gaffe master. You remember him as VP, it's a big fucking deal and all that stuff. He says and does weird shit all the time anyway. He doesn't need to be cognitively impaired. The address was lackluster. It was basically, hey, I endorse Kamala, and here's what I'm standing down for the benefit of my nation, and blah, 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 bitty, blah. No real mention of those mini-strokes, now, was there? No admission to that. It's basically just, hey, it's time to pass the torch. You're an egotistical fucking narcissist. You don't pass the torch and transfer power to another person lightly. What's the underlying cause of why, therefore, you made that decision? You're not going to get that answer. Now, you're not going to get anything from maybe 20 years from now, long after Biden's dead, they'll disclose to the public, oh, by the way, he basically went Woodrow Wilson mode, and Jill was fundamentally in charge for a while there, and yeah, we're sorry about that. Are we going to find out that some of the legislation wasn't even properly signed because Biden wasn't the one that even signed it? Yeah, it's possible. Of course, you just give him a crayon and put the piece of paper in front of him and say, write your name, Joe. Yeah, that would probably work, so, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. There are laws in the country that are technically not legal at all because of Woodrow Wilson's stroke, by the way. His signature changed a little bit too drastically after that, and people were not allowed into the bedroom when he was signing the material. I wonder fucking why. Biden, his address it's like, okay, you came before the nation. At the very least, you're addressing, hey, I'm dropping out and stuff. So you got proof of life. That's nice. But otherwise, it was just an incoherent mass. It didn't make any sense half the time. We've accomplished so much, and here we're going to move forward, and we're going to get Kamala elected. Okay, this was very generic. The other part is it was very bland. You're not telling us anything new. You're not really... We knew that you were standing down and dropping out of the race. We knew that you had some sort of health issue. We knew pass the torch. By the way, huge amount of gaslighting about the border czar thing right now. We'll talk about that separately. But otherwise, just bland. Coherent in the sense that he didn't look like he was completely messed up, but incoherent in the normal Biden sense. The thing is, his capability of delivering a message and really hitting it on the nose, really getting it through to people, has been compromised now for years. He doesn't need to have an acute health problem for that to be an issue. You look at the State of the Union, for example, where he gets drawn off into a shouting match basically with the House Republicans more than anything else. That was a very, very interesting, by the way. His address doesn't tell us anything. It was vacuous. If I had to use one term for the speech, it would be vacuous. All right, you already told us all this shit. Yeah, pass the torch to the younger generation. Yeah, Kamala's in her 50s. She's not exactly young. And she looks older than that, and sometimes acts older than that. She's a cackling old witch, actually. I love how they're immediately trying to re-inject the age issue into the election. That's funny because you told us for several years that that wasn't really an issue. And Joe is sharp as a tack and doing fine. He just stood down. He's done everything short of resigning. By the way, the fact that he hasn't resigned is going to become a campaign issue. It's going to be exploited by his political opponents. You do realize that. Well, if Biden can't run, what the fuck is he, he's saying that he's too old to run, time to pass the torch. Why is he in a caretaker role? I mean, if Kamala's so great, don't you want to give her incumbency? If Kamala's so wonderful and will do such a great job, give her a few months to prove that she can actually do the job at all before people have to vote in November. I would think that would make sense. That would be the operative strategy if I were in charge of the DNC. I would go up to him and tell him, dude, you're really holding our chances back. It's going to be a big fucking problem. Yeah, Biden's address. Address my ass, At least this time it wasn't pre-recorded like the call to the Kamala Harris campaign there. Which it was. That one was pre-recorded. At least he wasn't all slurred, all fucked up on pills or whatever. He looked like a normal 82 or 3-year-old man. A little bit rambling. And there's the usual Joe Biden incoherence, and it's not just a stutter, by the way. But he can come out and he's capable of walking again without shuffling his feet. It was mini strokes. You can recover that quickly from that. They put him on blood thinners or something like that, and they let him have a few days to rest, not have to do anything, monitor his vitals, pump him full of vitamins and shit, make sure he gets an extra bran muffin because that next bowel movement needs to be extra large, and then they call it a day. It's perfectly survivable, actually, as long as they're giving him medical treatment on a continuing basis. He might never have an actual, Widowmaker level stroke. Which is good. I mean, having Biden stay in office, cock-blocking Kamala from gaining incumbency, number one, and number two, being able to make executive decisions, my God, is actually the biggest gift he's given to the nation. Thank you, Joe. Real cool. That's about all. Peace out.